This morning, I just wanted to share with you a way that I sometimes put together a video without using a script. I do have bullet points, I have an outline in my head, and I try to use this technique so that I don't have to look at notes, that I can just rumble through my bullet points and not have to worry about looking at any notes and speak without notes. So if you're looking for a way to easily speak without notes, especially for short videos, talking head videos like this one for 5 to 8 minutes or so, I want to share this technique with you. You may already be doing it. It's nothing unusual or nothing magical. It's tied really to the way we used to study for exams back in high school. You know, if we had some points we needed to remember, we would come up with an acronym. You remember the word acronym? What is an acronym? Well, let me share with you real quick, just so we're together. An acronym is a word formed from the first letters of a multi-word phrase. It's pronounced as a single word, read lead by letter. FBI, NASA, acronyms save time and make lengthy names and phrases easier to remember. Here are some examples: NASA, scuba. But you remember back in high school, when you're studying for an exam and there's 5 points that you needed to remember, and so you came up with some sort of an acronym to help you remember those points? Well, that's what I use when I try to put together a talking head video, a short 5 or 8 minute talk about a particular topic. So here's the steps that you go through. Here's what I wanted to share with you. Number one, just pick a topic. What are you going to talk about in your video today? What's it going to be about? Let's say you're going to talk about gardening. You're going to give folks tips on your YouTube channel about how to get rid of insects in your garden. Let's say you come up with 3 tips or 5 tips. Now, for some reason, let's start here. For some reason, when we think about numbers, when we think about the number of tips or the number of examples or anything that has to deal with a sequence, we want to use odd numbers. Now, I don't know what the reason is for that, but most of the time you will see content creators either give 3 tips, 5 tips, maybe 7 tips, but it's unusual to find an even number. I don't know why. Psychologically, we like, I guess, the idea of odd numbers. They feel somehow in our minds, they feel more solid. 3 tips is better than having 2. 5 tips, for some reason, seems better than 4. I don't know why. It's very odd. So let's say you've got 3 tips that you want to remember to share with people about how to get rid of insects in the garden. Well, this next step, of course, is you come up with those tips, those 3 tips. What is it you're trying to share? What are the 3 tips you want to share with them? And then once you have those tips laid out, we're going to call those, of course, bullet points. Once you have your bullet points, you want to come up with an acronym that will fit those bullet points. Now, I don't know how you get rid of insects in a garden. That's not the point. But let's say one of the tips is to spray with insecticide. That would be your first bullet point, and then you're going to talk about spraying with insecticide. Well, you could use the letter S to remind you about spray the insects. Well, let's see, what would be another tip? I'm doing this off the top of my head, so you might need to help me. What's another thing we can do to get rid of insects? Maybe we can put some netting over the garden to help. I mean, do you do that? Do you put any sort of netting or anything over roses or flowers to prevent insects from landing on them? I mean, I don't know. But let's say netting. Well, you could use the letter N to remind you of netting. Now you've got S and N. Well, what would be another thing that you could do to get rid of insects in the garden? I have no clue. Maybe spray, maybe apply some netting. What else could you do? It would help if we had some sort of a tip where we could use it as a vowel. Like, let's see, I don't know. Let's just make something up. The word adapt. We're going to adapt our garden to the environment. Maybe that's another way we can get rid of insects. You want to adapt your garden to the environment. Well, so you've got 3 letters now for each of those tips. S, N, and A. S for spray, N for nets, and A for adapt. Well, that's your acronym, and you can rearrange the letters maybe to SAN or NAS. It's better, of course, if your acronym is a word or something that's easier to remember. SNA is not all that great of an acronym, but you're getting the point here. What I'm saying is, come up with your list of bullet points, then come up with an acronym to use to help go through those bullet points. So step 1 is bullet points. Step 2 is come up with the acronym. Now the third thing that I think you might want to do before you begin this talking head video without notes is to rehearse. You want to do a run through. So go ahead and shoot the first video, shoot it once, be your first take, sort of a practice take. No one needs to see it. I mean, no, you don't, unless it turns out good and you may be done for the day. You go through and it turns out pretty good, then you may want to go ahead and upload it. But let's say we're going to use the acronym SAN, S-A-N, for your video about getting rid of insects in the garden. Well, you don't have to look at your notes because you know each of your bullet points. And so all you have to do is remember the SAN, the S-A-N. And it tells you you're going to talk about spraying to get rid of insects. You're going to talk about adapting your garden with the environment in some way to get rid of insects. That's the A. And then the N, of course, is you're going to lay out some netting. Spray, adapt, netting. That's how easy it is for you in your mind to remember your bullet points. And then your bullet points, of course, you can talk about because you know enough and you've studied enough and you've thought about it enough to where you can talk for 2 or 3 minutes on each bullet point without looking at notes. So that's the technique that I often use when I want to give a quick 5 to 8 minute talking head talk about some sort of topic. And just as an example, that's what I've done today for this particular topic. I have used an acronym for this talking head video. I've not looked at any notes. I've just got my acronym in my head and it's told me what my bullet points are. Now I'm going to give you a minute. Can you determine what my bullet points are for this talk? Think a minute. What have we talked about? Can you think of the acronym that I've used to organize this talk? Think about it for a minute. All right. Well, let me tell you. We've talked about bullet points, right? The first thing you want to do is come up with your topic. Then you want to talk about bullet points, right? Then you want to get your acronym, and then you want to rehearse or do a run through. B-A-R, bar. So when I was going to begin this video this morning, I didn't need to look at my notes. All I needed to do was remember the acronym BAR. Those were my bullet points. And then I knew we were going to talk about, once you get your topic chosen, you want to pick your bullet points, whatever they are, 3 tips, 5 tips, whatever your bullet points are for the talk, and then come up with an acronym for those bullet points, and then rehearse or do a run through. Do 2 or 3 takes. And you want to be sure and record all 3 of those takes, 3 or 4 takes, however many takes you do. Go ahead and record them, because later on in editing, you may, like putting together a puzzle, you can pick and choose sections of each take that are of quality that might fit together nicely with some nice transitions. Or if you're lucky, you'll be able to go through an entire 5 or 10 minute talk without needing any editing at all, because you've remembered this acronym, you've got your bullet points in place, and you've done enough of this through practice to where it becomes easy. So that's the technique I wanted to share with you today. Well, that's all I've got for today's video, so we'll see you later. Go out and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time.